Hello. So I've got an interesting problem in front of me that looks quite fun. It's actually a problem that one will see a lot, especially in early maths. Yes, and it states, given that for all values of x, 3x squared plus 12x plus 5 equals p times x plus q squared plus r. And for part A, it asks to find the values of p, q, and r. P, q, and r. So my first my inclination here would be to solve and work out the right hand side of this equation. And so basically just bracket the left hand side, work on the right hand side. And the first step that stands out is just we're going to want to FOIL this out, expand the x plus q squared. So we can do that. I'll just write it this way. I'm going to bracket off the x plus q squared, and of course x plus q squared is just x plus q times x plus q. And then we've got our unknown variable r. And so yeah, you can just think it's just foiling this out or distributive property twice, however one wants to think about it. So we're going to end up with p times x squared, and then x times p. I'll just write it as or x times q. Sorry, I'll write it as qx. And then we've got another qx, and now we have a q squared because qx, so q squared, and that's going to be plus r. But we still need to distribute this p. So the next line would be px squared, right? Because p times x squared, px squared. And then this, we have two qx terms. We can just rewrite this or simplify it as 2qx. And then when we distribute this p, we're going to end up with plus 2pqx. And then we have a plus pq squared, and then our unknown variable r. And so again, the objective is to find the values for p, q, and r. And what stands out here is that at the very outset, it's stated that 3x squared plus 12x plus 5 is equal to p times x plus q squared plus r. So we can just compare the compare the coefficients, and so in that case, p is going to equal 3. P equals 3. We could say p equals 3. Now I will box that off. Now for q, 2 times p times q is going to equal 12. So we can write that 2 times p times q set to equal 12. Now we already know the value for p. We found that quite easily, and that actually will help us find the value for q, because we can rewrite this as 2 times 3 times 2, or 2 times 3 times q equals 12. Now we only have one unknown variable, which makes life much easier. So 2 times 3 equals 6. So we have 6q equals 12. Divides by 6 on both sides. We got q equals 2. So that's pretty cool. It was quite straightforward, very quick. We found the value for p and the value for q. It looks right to me. So now we need to find r. And one might be inclined to say, okay, well, let's just insert the value of p into this equation right here. And so we'd have 3x squared plus 2 times 3 times 2x plus we've got our pq squared, so it would be 3 times 2 squared plus r. The problem with this is that we still have the unknown variable x. We don't know the value for x, and so we still have two unknown variables. And a much more simpler way to find r would just be to look again at the left hand side of this equation, of this entire thing, and we have p q squared plus r must equal 5. And so I'll write that here. P q squared plus r is going to equal 5. But we know the values of p and q, so it's going to be 3 times 2 squared plus r equals 5. Now again, we just have one unknown variable. We've just isolated the r, and so 2 squared is 4 times 3 is 12, so we have 12 plus r equals 5. And we just subtract 12 from both sides, and we've got our value for r, which is going to be negative 7. So now we've got our values for p, q, and r, and that's part A answered. So p equals 3, q equals 2, r equals negative 7, and that looks right to me. Now for part B, and this serves as I don't know, a bit of fun revision, I suppose. It asks to solve the equation 3x squared plus 12x plus 5, and all of that is set to equal 0. It looks a bit tricky to factor, solve by factorization, etc. But I mean, I think the big hint here is that at the very outset, it states very explicitly that 3x squared plus 12x plus 5 is equal to p times x plus q squared plus r. And so really we can just insert, we can just rewrite this as and insert our values for p, x plus q squared plus r. And by that I mean we can rewrite this as 3 times x plus q, which is 2 squared, and then r we know is minus 7, and all that set to equal 0. Now we can just subtract, or sorry, we can add 7 to both sides. So we've got 3 times x plus 2 squared equals 7, and now my inclination would be to just divide by 3 both sides. So we want to isolate, we're solving for x here. So we've got x plus 2 squared equals 7 over 3. And finally, we can take the square root both sides. So we've got x plus 2 plus minus the root of 7 over 3. There's not much that we can do with this, so we can just subtract 2 from both sides, and we'll have our value for x, which should be negative 2 plus minus the square root of 7 over 3. And that's the final answer.